And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. An attempt by the Trump administration to pause potentially trillions of dollars worth of federal funds has been blocked by a federal judge. The administration said the freezing of those funds was needed to ensure all money being spent aligned with the president's priorities. The plan sparked confusion and panic among organizations. A U.S. congressman shocked the public by aligning himself with the president, saying on CNN, some children should work to pay for their school lunch.
How many people got their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school who are capable of going out and actually getting a job and doing something that makes them have value, thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge out the government when they don't need to.
Meantime, congressional Democrats have scheduled an emergency meeting about the freeze. Joining us tonight to talk about it, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, Attorney Eric Dick, CPA Lucy Petrie, Dr. David Branham of the University of Houston downtown, and Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld from Houston Community College. Welcome all. So, Dr. Branham, your thoughts about this? What was this freeze all about from the president?
Well, we're talking about shock and awe. So this is shock and awe. This is how this president works. He wants to get your attention. He wants to put fear in you. I think he actually enjoys this power trip that he's on. And I also think that he knew that this was going to get blocked. I don't know if he knew it was going to get blocked so quickly, but I think he knew it was going to get blocked.
Did he want a court challenge so he can go into court and say, I should be able to spend as the executive here in the United States impound?
That's what he wants, but I don't think he thinks he's going to win. I think in the long run, he knows he's not going to win this. This money has been passed through Congress. Congress owns the purse. So it's for him to stop it is probably going to be reversed by a federal judge. So I think this is something where he's going in and saying, look, this is what I want. And he's swinging his fist knowing that he's not going to actually get what he wants.
All right, Eric, is this the right thing to do for the president to make sure all of this federal spending align with what he believes?
I think it's fine. What Trump's doing is he's trying to pinch pennies and he's trying to get leverage. He makes you scared of getting, the money that you're already entitled to. Maybe he can talk you out of money that you aren't entitled to. I think it's leverage, and his goal is to reduce the cost of bacon to put more money in the American taxpayer's pocket, and that's what he's doing.
All right. Dr. von Biedenfeld, for those who say this is against the Constitution, he's breaking the law, he's breaking the rules, he's ignoring the process.
We have precedent for this, right? Democratic autocrats with President Jackson and President Nixon. But the pro is, as Eric Dick pointed out, the national debt was paid off under Andrew Jackson. Now, we might say that anecdotal story of him telling Justice Marshall when the Supreme Court said you can't do something, him saying now come and enforce it, and him just saying nope, we're moving the Cherokee out of Georgia. We might see President Trump doing that. Where I'll disagree with David Branham, I agree with everything else except for I don't think President Trump thinks he's going to lose, because just as with Andrew Jackson, the court only has the authority of their integrity, which has been challenged repeatedly with ethics violations and questions of private trips and other things, and Congress is inherently weak as it's divided as they try to find this populist power. So I don't think he thinks he's going to lose. I think he's going to do the shock and awe. I agree with Dr. Branham on that, but I also agree with Eric Dick. No, he's going to try to save this money. He thinks he's going to power through.
All right, Representative Reynolds, your thoughts on this?
It's beyond shock and awe. This is cruel and inhumane. You're talking about pregnant women won't be able to get medical benefits. Children that are part of Head Start because they want to get an education, they won't be able to get food and education services. Head Start cut. Homeless veterans services cut. We're talking about police and firefighters, monies for federal governments when it comes to climate and things like that, all cut. We've never seen anything like this. This is unprecedented. It is unconstitutional. This would have happened at 5 o'clock today. I had superintendents of my district saying, Ron, we don't know what we're going to do. We are not prepared for this. We're not going to be able to fund our schools. President Trump is only serving the millionaires and billionaires on the backs of the poor. This is oligarchy, and this is creating more rich that get richer and the poor get poorer. And I'm so concerned about millions of Texans and Americans right now.
And Lucy, can you tell us, for those who are concerned, how will this impact me? Some of the programs that are out there that could impact Americans.
Yeah, so they said that those programs that go affect directly individuals would not be cut.
And we're talking about like Social Security, and he said Medicare, but many of the Medicare websites were down today.
Right, they were down.
And they said that's a coincidence, but is it?
I don't know that it is a coincidence. I think they just cut it for everybody and then are reactivating it as they go. They did set forth a list of the items, of the programs they were not going to cut.
Let's go through that list, Lucy.
Yeah, so Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid, food stamps, student loans, rental assistance, and Head Start programs. They said that these programs specifically would not be cut back.
Okay. And for those who are wondering how they will be impacted, what are some of those programs where you should be concerned? Because we've heard it's special interest groups programs that are out there, specifically talking about LGBTQ, talking about DEI.
Right. So I think these programs impact particularly lower income portions of the population that are going to be affected, are going to be particularly affected by cutting back on these programs, whether it is at-risk LGBTQ youth, pregnant women, low-income families that may be of Hispanic or historically underprivileged population. I think they are going to be harmed specifically more than anybody else.
All right, we'll be back with this conversation in just a moment with our guests here on The Factor Uncensored. We want to continue to cover it here on The Factor. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, continuing coverage tonight after a federal judge temporarily blocked efforts by President Trump to freeze federal grants and loans. Now, the Office of Management and Budget announced a pause to root out spending that didn't follow the president's priorities. The stay is in place until Monday afternoon. Democratic attorneys general from 23 states and the District of Columbia have filed lawsuits to stop the funding freeze. Our guests are back. First of all, let's begin with you, Lucy. You had something you wanted to say in reference to impact.
Right. So if you think about it, it's not just the programs and the individuals who are using the programs or are benefiting from the programs, but also everybody else who works at these programs. They may not have been the intended recipients, but they're employees of these nonprofits, agencies, research groups. They are also going to be out of a job. So this is collateral damage from this freeze.
Now, let's talk about the attorneys general from around the country who filed a lawsuit to stop President Trump and his freeze. What happens, Dr. Von Biedenfeld, between now and Monday?
Of course, you've got to file all the briefs, and then they'll prepare for the hearing. And of course,
so you go to court.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to go to court, and then the judge has to justify this, right? And then there's appellate processes and other areas. So what the attorneys general are going to talk about this harm. They're going to talk about other areas like the impoundment clause and things of this nature from 74, again, intended to stop people like Richard Nixon from over-exercising their authority over Congress's power of the purse, as Dr. Brandon mentioned. And they'll really try to build up their case. And it's a process, but there's a lot of evidence on both sides. And the reality is, when you think about the millions of dollars saved just at the VA, when they point at the VA's DEI programs, you say, wow, I mean, we saved $130,000
When you look at the American budget, that's like a drop in the bucket.
But that's, and the flip side is when you've got Head Start programs and many beneficiaries, as Representative Reynolds and I know from our veterans program with Camilla the other day, Texas has the largest population of veterans. We get more than we pay in. And so some of these things like refusing Medicare or refusing Medicaid, even if they say they're not cutting it, some of those corollary programs, maybe with small business initiatives, that confusion of shooting from the hip, we saw the Defense Department having to retract some of their policies because they're cutting the Tuskegee Airmen out. Oh wait, we didn't mean that. So the interpretation aspect. So the attorneys are trying to find clarification, and just as Trump is trying to assert himself, these folks are trying to say, what are the boundaries? Where are the limits of this power?
And when we look at our budget, Eric, and take a look at the United States budget, trillions of dollars, when we see millions of dollars here, millions of dollars there, it's a drop in the bucket, small percentage, but does every penny count when we talk about conservatives and what they're trying to do, or Trump supporters?
I think, of course, every penny counts, but I think sometimes, as far as like leveraging in negotiation, if you're fighting over stuff that people are entitled to, then it might be easier for you to get stuff that maybe they aren't necessarily entitled to. For instance, if he's doing this with federal funds, I think the IRS agents, all the 80,000 IRS agents that he hired and told them they're going to be on a permanent freeze, I think you're going to see them start to look for other jobs. Or you're going to see stuff like that. If he's acting so aggressive with monies that, you know, that are he can't do anything with, the things he can do with, I think they're going to go along with them more because they see how he's acting. And the reason this is important to the people watching, this president, he is dedicated to reducing the cost for American people. He's really trying, whether you agree to it or not, he is trying as hard as he can to reduce the price of bacon from $9. That's what he's doing, and that's very hard to do.
Okay, really quick, Ron, give you 30 seconds, and Dr. Brenham's going to wrap it up.
He's not doing a damn thing to bring the cost of eggs down or bacon to tackle inflation. None of these executive orders have done that. All they've done is cause shock and awe on LGBTQ, black and brown communities, immigrants, and now poor children going to school, pregnant women. So nothing he's done to help tackle our economy and do the things that he said he was going to do. This is simply cruel and inhumane, and I don't understand how he's trying to justify it at all.
And really quick, Dr. Brenham, tonight we heard that the president signed another executive order, not tonight, but an executive order saying if you're a federal employee, if you resign now, we'll give you 8 months of pay. Your thoughts on that?
Well, this is another way for him to assert his agenda. And the good thing about it is he's sending a message that everybody can react to. I work at a Hispanic serving university. We need to react to this. We need to understand that money that we're used to coming in may not be coming in anymore. That if you have a job in DEI, you have to understand that maybe your job isn't safe and you need to start looking for something else. The warning helps. But it's going to have a big effect and big negative effect on a lot of people in that part of the industry.
7 months.
All right, 7 months of pay. All right. How dare you correct me? All right. He won't be a guest. Still ahead.